As the luxury SUV segment continues to expand here in America, automakers are quickly becoming more aware of just how incredibly lucrative this segment is. Now that brings me to this gigantic beast that I'm standing by. This is the all-new 2020 BMW X7, the biggest, most luxurious, and most expensive SUV that BMW has ever created. Now, if you guys have followed BMW for a few years now, you'll realize that they've never actually had an SUV this big. Their previous biggest SUV, the X5, was always a few feet shorter than most of the competition. So this week, as you can see, BMW has loaned me this 2020 X7 xDrive 50i. And the big question I want to answer, if you guys are looking for a luxurious and opulent luxury SUV, is this one the best one to get? That's what we're here to find out. So when it comes to luxury and opulence for me, a standout design is a really important factor. And as you can see from the look of this all-new X7, the kidneys on this vehicle have really gotten a little bit out of hand. Now, a lot of you probably remember the Winifred Sanders meme, that witch from Hocus Pocus with her 2 buck teeth, because that's kind of what the car reminds you of. Now, at first when I saw this massive grille, I have to say, I didn't love the look of the car, but after spending a week with this thing, I have to say the massive grille really fits the character of this car. It looks especially handsome, especially in this gray color. If you guys go for the M Sport package, the grille will be blacked out, but honestly, you can't argue with the fact that this grille stands out. It's something that people are going to talk about, and it's especially good looking if you just compare it to the all-new 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLS, which kind of looks a little bit too safe, a little bit too much like a minivan in comparison. Another thing that is very important with opulence is the tech features. Now, a lot of cars today have, HID headlights, they have LED headlights. The BMW, this has frickin' lasers, man. Okay, that was my poor attempt at doing a Dr. Evil laugh, but come on, laser headlights, and they're actually standard on this car, which doesn't surprise me because this is their most expensive model. I'll show you guys a driving footage at night on what the laser headlights actually look like, but they are kind of like a laser LED headlight. You'll have LED fog lights here at the lower fascia. You'll have LED daytime running lights. Overall, BMW has really one-upped themselves with the technology and the design, especially when you look at the front end of the X7. So another area where a consumer may associate opulence is with the sheer size. And as you can see, BMW got the actual length and proportions of the X7 right, because compared to the X5, their previous largest SUV, this is over a foot longer in the overall length. Its wheelbase at 123 inches long is about 6 inches longer than the X5, and its overall length at 203 inches long is again about 17 inches longer than the X5. This is about the same size as the Cadillac Escalade, a little bit shorter than the Lincoln Navigator, but the same size as the direct rival, the Mercedes-Benz GLS. Now, rim sizes are also very important for this segment, and BMW offers several different wheel choices, ranging in size from like a 19-inch wheel all the way up to a 22-inch wheel. Now, this one that I'm showing you here is the mid-level 21-inch wheel that comes standard on the xDrive 50i. It also has the optional M Sport brakes, which gives you a bigger brake caliper, and they're painted blue at all 4 corners. It looks especially nice, especially with this gray exterior color. This one here also actually has an off-road package. That's right, you could theoretically take your big 3-row luxury SUV off-roading like a Range Rover because it has an air suspension that does come standard. This level that I have it at set right now is at its mid-tier setting. It has like roughly 7 inches of ground clearance. It'll vary the ground clearance from like 6 inches all the way up to about 9 inches at its higher setting. But as you can see, the rest of the X7 profile, my tester here has the satin finish on the roof rails, on the window trim. It also has an optional running board, and really it has a more traditional SUV look, but still will command a lot of presence when you pull up to wherever you're going in this all-new X7. From behind, you can see the X7 still continues that opulent look and feel with taillights that very much mimic the same design you get on the 7 Series. They're kind of a full LED taillight design. It's got the xDrive 50i badging. Now before, the xDrive 50i used to be the highest engine tier. Now for 2020, there's an M50i that has roughly 70 more horsepower than this, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Now opulence, I also associate that with a lovely sounding exhaust note, and this thing with its V8, let's take a listen to what it sounds like. And as you guys heard, the V8 makes extremely nice noises. We'll talk about that later on in the test drive. Now, opening up the cargo area, remember this is still an SUV, so you expect it to offer up a lot of space. Now, the X7 also has the split tailgate design that a lot of its competitors offer, such as the Range Rover, and BMW has always offered it on the X5. The cargo area is relatively small when you have the third row seat up. Remember, a third row seat comes standard on this car. You get around 13 cubic feet of space. When you fold everything down, everything is a power folding feature, you get around 90 cubic feet of space. Now, that is roughly a little bit less than what you're gonna get in most of the competition. But as you can see, folding the seats down, it's really easy to do. Just push this button over here. The front seats, or the second row seat, will kind of move forward a little bit. And then the third row, as you can see, takes a little bit of time, but just kind of one touch, it'll fold down. This will roughly give you around 45 cubic feet of space. And then when you want to fold down everything, as you can see, the second row, which my tester has just the regular bunch seat, will start to fold down. It gives you a nearly completely flat load floor once it does go down. But as you can see, with around 90 cubic feet of space, this is plenty of cargo space for most families, and it's really going to make the X7 your vehicle of choice when you guys are planning to take long road trips. So obviously, when you're trying to figure out how opulent a vehicle is, the exterior design plays an important factor, but the interior is probably even more important. So with that being said, let's take a look at the interior of the X7 first. And as you can see, this interior will wow you when you're first taking a look at it. I mean, my tester here has the optional full merino leather. It's blue and white leather. It's got leather basically everywhere. It's on the door panels, it's on the lower door panel, it's on the dashboard, it's on the center console. These seats are probably one of the softest seats I've ever sat in. They adjust 22 different ways on the front seats. You can also extend out the thigh support, you can extend the bolstering. Really, my tester is annoyingly missing a luxury package, which would roll in massaging seats in the front, heated and ventilated seats in the front as well as cooled seats in the rear. For $1,200, I think BMW honestly should have just included it on this tester to test out. And really, it's kind of insulting at this price that you don't get that. But as you can see, there's also a bunch of LED lighting throughout this cabin, which you can interchange. I think BMW offers like 15 different colors you can change it at. As you can see, I've got it in the blue tone. This vehicle looks even more beautiful on the inside when you're driving it at night, which I'll show you as well. As you can see, all the sunshades are closed right now, which does offer a very private feeling. And if you want, you can kind of just push this button over here when the vehicle's on. It will open and close all of the sunshades. You can even control the sunshades in the rear from the actual, whatever side of the door. The seats, as I guys showed you before, will adjust electrically in the rear as well as in the third row. And the doors also have a soft close feature, which is again standard on the X7. That's kind of what you expect in a vehicle like this. Now, getting inside, I have the vehicle in its normal setting for the suspension. It's got an 7 inches of ground clearance in this setting, and then when you shut the door, really solid thunk. It just sounds like you're shielded away from the outside environment. That's what makes this vehicle really appealing. Now, another thing, crystal shifter. This is their glass controls for $600. It's included with the executive package. Look at the way this looks. Now, BMW has been using this same center console in all their cars lately, but with the glass controls, it takes away some of the cheap plastic that I was complaining about and replaces it with this beautiful hand-cut glass. It's glass on the iDrive controller, glass on the starter button, and then glass on the volume button. So to start it up, just put your foot on the brake and then push the button here. The engine will fire up for you. Now, the instrument panel and the dashboard of the X7 looks very familiar to all the other newer BMW products that I've tested. I mean, some of you may criticize BMW because their system or their dashboard and systems just look pretty much identical in every BMW, even the steering wheel, the gauge display. And I will say that is a criticism of mine. I would like to see BMW offer a unique looking dashboard throughout the rest of their vehicles. But I will say that on the X7, they've filled this interior with a lot of premium materials that really adds to the opulence factor. It even smells expensive in here. The seats are so pillowy soft, really comfortable, squishy leather, beautiful details here with the contrasting stitching, this ribbon of leather that goes along the inner portion of the seats. The infotainment system here, as you guys know, it has their gesture controls, all that gimmicky stuff here. You can mute and you can increase the volume and whatnot. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay. This is now a 12-inch display over here that's a touchscreen. I kind of wish BMW would merge the two screens together the way Mercedes does. I also think that their Live Cockpit Professional digital display here is very childish and gimmicky compared to what Audi offers. It just doesn't look really expansive. Even Mercedes, again, offers a much better looking digital display in the instrument panel versus the competition. This one also has the heads-up display that's part of the executive package. It's very nice, it's very clear. There's full leather stitching over here. There's a speaker cover over here that isn't completely covered in the cheap hollow plastic that you got in the 3 Series that I tested. The steering wheel, obviously it's a tilt telescoping design. It has a heated wheel function. These are your controls for your driver assistance. You can also adjust this control over here, make it look a little bit different, but there isn't really too much in terms of adjustability. Now going over here to the display, I'm not going to go too much into detail with this. Be sure to watch my full review on the X7 if you guys want to see all of that. But as you can see here, I like the fact that it's a touchscreen as well. You can also use the iDrive controller here. This is where you're going to go if you want to change the interior lighting. You can see BMW offers a choice of several different colors in here. My favorite is actually the blue or the lilac interior. It just looks phenomenal at night, so I'm looking forward to showing you guys what that looks like during the test drive. Over here at the center console, you can see there are heated and cooled cup holders that comes part of the executive package. You also have a wireless phone charger over there where you can hide your phone, whatnot, by closing this lid. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see 360 camera. It also has their automatic parallel parking. It has their backup assistance. So this is all pretty much what you expect in a vehicle of this caliber. So BMW, again, is throwing in the technology in this car, and it looks fantastic. I just wish my tester had the massaging seats. This is where you control the adjustable air suspension. You can see it even shows you a graphical representation of what the vehicle is doing, actually doing in real life when you start to raise or lower the suspension, which is all really great. This leather center console lid over here has USB-C charging ports, a really good amount of storage. And then there's actually a traditional USB over here, just one traditional USB, and then the rest are USB-C charging ports. Over here, the glove compartment is big, it's damped, it's lined with felt. You can also get a in-cabin ionizer in here, a fragrance system where it'll waft a perfume smell for 350 bucks more. So really, you could option up this car to be well over 120 grand, which my tester doesn't have all that stuff. There's a couple of buttons over here for obviously your window controls, your memory controls for the seats. You can also adjust the rear seat and the passenger side seat from over here. So obviously the interior in this vehicle, a lot nicer than what you're going to expect in a lot of other BMW products. The LED lighting in the roof, which I'll talk about later on in the test drive, you can change the color of that and it turns this vehicle into a nightclub. These even adjust like an airplane where you can make the headrest go in and out. You can adjust this little pillow here on the headrest, and everything in here just makes this the perfect road trip vehicle. So this interior, one of the nicest interiors BMW has done. Wish they had their own unique dashboard design, but it smells expensive in here. It's filled with really great materials. And really, I could probably spend an entire video just talking about the tech features, but I'm not gonna do that. So let's hop into the back seat and see what that's like. So as the 7 Series of SUVs in BMW's lineup, the second row is obviously an area where BMW really put a lot of consideration for this vehicle, because remember, the doors are freaking massive on the rear doors, and it really adds to the interior space. Now you're probably looking at my seating position right now and thinking, oh, look, this SUV doesn't have that much legroom, but check this out. This one doesn't even have the captain's chairs. It's just the regular bench. So this one will seat 7. Get the captain's chairs, it'll seat 6 people only. Now, use this power recliner seat here, and as you can see, the seat starts moving all the way back, and this is the furthest back it'll go. I also have it slightly reclined, but check out this legroom. This legroom here is, BMW says, is around 41 inches of legroom. That's practically the same as what you get in the front seats. I can easily just cross my legs. I can recline the seat if I'd like and get a little bit more comfortable. Now keep in mind, if you guys are looking for more comfort, you're going to want to specify to get the captain's chairs because they allow you to do a little bit more, and then it frees up the space over here. My tester is also missing a couple of features that I wish it had. There's no cooled seats back here. They are heated. You've got these power retractable shades and whatnot too, on the side windows, on the sunshade at the top. It's also got a sunshade in the rear to really make this interior completely private if you guys want to close everything back here. I'm also missing the 2 tablet screens that you can get. This is actually the mounting point for it if you guys want to spend another $3,000 for BMW's infotainment system, the rear seat entertainment system. I also love, absolutely love, this pillow that the car comes with. Like, it's seriously like one of the softest pillows that I've ever seen. It just kind of mounts back here to this headrest with 2 button straps that are magnetic. It really makes the interior Super nice, super exquisite. You have your own set of climate controls back here. There's actually a 5-zone climate control system back here because you get your own temperature setting on this side, you also get it on this side, and then you get your own temperature setting in the back, and then of course the driver and front passenger have their own temperature settings. Now, as you also can see, the blue and white merino upgraded leather. There's leather everywhere, even on the rear interior panels. The door panel here on the rear is leather. Even the third row seat area is completely leather. Now, I actually showed you guys what the third row seat was like in my first review of the X7, so I'm not going to do that here. Be sure to click on the link in the description below to refer to that. But the third row in this vehicle is very usable for average size adults like myself. And unlike the new Mercedes-Benz GLS that I drove earlier this year, you have leather stitching on the actual panels, on the side panels in the third row seat. You have your own sunshade rear seat control as well, your own separate climate control settings. So these are features that were just kind of unheard of in the 3-row luxury SUV segment for years. So BMW has really upped themselves in terms of the luxury features and the rear seat. This is the perfect family vehicle, the perfect road trip vehicle if you guys plan to put, 6 people in complete comfort in this car. So unlike the American competition that the X7 competes with, BMW offers a choice of 3 different engine options for 2020. The base motor will be the company's corporate B58 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's a single turbo engine. I've shown you guys that engine before. It actually is the same engine that's in like a Toyota Supra that makes 340 horsepower in the X7. However, that is the base engine. I actually haven't driven that motor yet. This is the new mid-level trim, or it's technically not new, but it's the mid-level engine trim. It's got a 4.4-liter twin turbocharged V8 engine. It makes 456 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. It's enough for BMW says to move this beast to 60 in around 5.2 seconds, and properly equipped, the X7 will tow a maximum of 7,500 pounds. This thing, as it sits, weighs around 5,400 pounds, and fuel economy is not bad, actually. It's rated at 15 in the city, 21 on the highway. You better be sure to put premium gas in this thing. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic. Now, the new engine option for 2020 is the M50i, which basically has this motor with the wick turned up on the boost to make 523 horsepower and around 500 or so foot-pounds of torque. Now, that motor I'm really looking forward to driving because BMW says that powertrain combination will get to 60 in around 4.5 seconds. There will probably not be a full-on M version of this car, but just to refresh your memory, let's get it out on the road and see what this xDrive 50i is like to drive. So luxury cars are always really nice to drive in the daytime. However, when you drive one of these vehicles at night, that's kind of where you really start to see the differences in a luxury brand versus something more mainstream. For example, like the Kia Telluride, the Hyundai Palisade. Those 2 vehicles are very much on the cuff of being luxury, especially for the money that Hyundai and Kia charges. However, this X7 really takes it up to another level when you drive it at night. So without further ado, starting the vehicle up, as you guys can see, the laser headlights, they kind of auto level, they adjust. And this interior, oh my God, for how beautiful it looks in the daytime, at night, when it's all lit up, like right now I have it on the ivory color. I can go over here to the car icon, I can change the settings, I can adjust the interior color. I mean, check out these graphics for the interior lighting. So let's see what we'd like here. So it's right now it's on the lilac with the white contour. I can just do an all lilac. I can do a green color. I can do a blue. Blue's probably one of my favorites. I really like the blue. There's also just a plain white if you guys prefer white. You can do orange, you can do bronze. So many different color options here, but let's do it with the blue. And as you can see, there's lighting underneath the wood grain. There's accent lighting here. There's accent lighting on the console here. The crystal shifter also lights up with a nice X over there. You have lighting on the door panels. It's on the rear as well. If I had the Bowers & Wilkins sound system in this car, the speaker grill would also be lit up here on the A-pillar. So for $3,400, I'd say that's money well spent. But without further ado, let's go ahead and put this thing into drive. As you can see, the wireless CarPlay is always a nice addition. I'm going to change the drive mode here into sport, and everything kind of tightens up. The seats even kind of close in on your side to make this thing, the seats hug you a little bit more, which is always really nice. It just adds to the whole theatrics with a luxury brand. And the one thing about the X7, BMWs have always been known as the ultimate driving machine. That's essentially what they're known for, because BMWs are all about driving. And the X7 definitely doesn't have that ultimate driving feel initially. This thing just feels big, it feels wide, it feels also very soft. Even in The sport suspension here, the 21-inch wheels, it still rides like a cloud. This is one of the softest riding cars that I've driven this year, which is definitely a good thing. I think BMW nailed the ride and handling down because, let's face it, that's what you want in a car like this. You want the ride quality to be excellent. Even with the 22s, I've driven this car when I was in Seattle with the 22s, it still has a really great ride quality. And when you first put your foot down with this V8, holy crap, the V8 just moves this big, heavy beast out with so much authority. You would never expect something like this to accelerate as hard as it does. I mean, 0 to 60, BMW says, is like 5.2 seconds. It feels conservative. This thing feels a lot faster than the numbers would suggest. And when you put your foot down, that's another area where this brand or this car will feel much more luxurious than something like the Kia Telluride or the Hyundai Palisade, because you just can't get the engine options in those more mainstream cars. You have to go to a luxury brand with its twin turbocharged V8 because it has just so much effortless power. It's insane. This 5,500 pound car moves so easily. It just moves so effortlessly. If you were going to tow at this thing, I wouldn't be worried. If you were going to, haul 7 people in it, I wouldn't be worried. Now, cruising down the road, God, that bump was so calm there. Usually I'm used to the car really bouncing really hard, but cruising down the road, this car is also incredibly quiet. One of the quietest cars I've driven all year because it's got an acoustically sealed windshield, side windows. It's got plenty of sound deadening materials, which is why this thing's so heavy. And then when you want to, just kind of cruise along, like I took this thing on a 150-mile road trip down to Williamsburg, Virginia, to go to Busch Gardens with my family, and it was so comfortable in this thing. People just kind of fell asleep. It's so quiet. The seats are so soft and pillowy. I'm just really annoyed that this one doesn't have the luxury package where it has the massaging front seats. It would be nice to have. It should be standard, honestly, at this price point. But hey, it's another $1,200 extra. What's another $1,200 if you're going to be spending, over $100,000 for this thing? But let's test out the driver assistance stuff, which is really easy to use on BMWs. This has the Driver Assistance Pro package. Literally just push this button over here. There's a green steering wheel icon that appears on the heads-up display on the steering wheel. And as you can see, this thing will start to follow curves for you, kind of like what Tesla's Autopilot does. Not quite as well. As you can see there, I have to still hold the wheel a little bit. If I let go of the wheel, it will still steer for me, but BMW systems literally only gives you like 5 seconds before that yellow light starts to blink and it starts to tell me to put my hands on the wheel. But what it does really do a good job of is just kind of cruising along. When you're cruising along and you've got the Adaptive Driver Assistance Pro package active, you just kind of barely touch the wheel and you'll feel it just kind of follow the curves for you, actively keeping you in the lanes. It'll do it to a full stop, and it'll also keep in the lane when you're stuck in traffic. So that's always a really great thing. This is still just level 2. The system will not, unfortunately, change lanes for you. I have to turn on my signal here, which I know BMW drivers usually don't turn on their blinker. And this thing, I have to manually change lanes myself, which I know it's such a pain to change lanes yourself. But when you do that and put your foot down, even in comfort mode, this thing will accelerate so ballistically. I mean, there's an M50i version with like another 60, 70 horsepower. I really can't wait to drive that. This car is just unbelievable. Oh, it sounds so good. Just, you didn't expect this car to have the kind of exhaust noise that this V8 model has. I mean, I'm sure the straight 6-cylinder engine is fine. I've driven the straight 6 in the X5, but let's face it, the V8 is what you want in this beast, especially if you're going to be planning to carry heavy loads. Now, I will say mine only has the Harman Kardon sound system. I think it has like 14 speakers in here. It's not the Bowers and Wilkins for another $3,000, but I think it actually still sounds pretty good. But really, it's going to come down to whether you're an audiophile or not to get that system. Now, taking this off-ramp here, I have it in sport mode, and you didn't think that you could push an SUV as hard as you can, and this thing does feel heavy. The steering doesn't really get heavy enough for me, and I don't quite have the confidence I usually would have when taking that off-ramp very quickly. So this is very much not the ultimate driving SUV. Now, granted, in this segment of vehicle, I think BMW probably is the sportiest driving vehicle here. No, stop with the hey BMW thing. Cancel. So really, in this class of vehicle, my expectations are low in terms of what's sporty to drive. But this one's probably more on the cuff of being a little bit more sportier than the rest. Oh my God, listen to that engine. That is just unbelievable. I could never get tired of this thing. And that's what makes the X7 feel a little bit more special than more of the mainstream competitions, because you just can't get this level of acceleration in something like the Subaru Ascent or the Kia Telluride or the Hyundai Palisade. Now granted, those mainstream cars are offering a lot for the money, but the X7 really, it's in a class of its own. And even when you start comparing it to the rivals, the Escalade obviously has its strengths, but it's much more thirsty. It doesn't handle as well as this. The Navigator is fast. It's almost as fast as this car, but the engine doesn't sound quite as good. The interior of the Lincoln, it's nice, but I think I prefer the BMW's infotainment system a little bit more. I also like the interior a little bit more. The seats are really nice. I like the back seat in this car more. The Mercedes also was a good choice. The interior of the Mercedes does look a little bit nicer with the screens that kind of match each other, but it looks so boring on the outside. It doesn't accelerate with the ferocity that you get with this X7. And really, the Mercedes just ultimately started to feel like a minivan at times, whereas this feels like a Range Rover competitor. And that's the thing I think BMW got with the X7. It's got the same Range Rover specialness, that uniqueness, that charm that I like so much in Range Rovers, but you have a much larger interior, you have amazing engines, you have more interior space, you have looks that really stand out, whether you like the looks or not. They definitely started to grow on me, but I would like this car probably in white with the 22-inch wheels would probably be my cup of tea. But it ultimately just makes you forget that you're driving such a big beast that can carry 7 people in absolute comfort. And BMW took their time with the X7, and it really shows. This is one of the best, big, expensive, luxury 3-row SUVs that money can buy. The headlights also in this car, these are the laser headlights, and for headlights that are made with lasers, they do reach an incredibly far distance. I mean, just check this out. You can literally see everything. This car's headlights are lighting up the road for other cars. Even this Audi next to me with its just pedestrian LEDs, the laser LEDs really reach a far distance. Now granted, these cars' headlights are better than the laser headlights that I tested on the 3 Series because for one, the car sits up higher. I love how the headlights are swiveling. They're adaptive, they move whenever I turn the wheel. They also have automatic high beams, so when the car senses that there's no oncoming light coming, it'll brighten up the high beams and then it'll dim them as well when it sees the light come through. So if you guys are people that have really bad vision at night, especially at night, this is laser headlights are the technology that are probably going to start be implementing on new cars eventually. It's just incredible what BMW has done here, what they offer with this new X7. Now this car is xDrive. It's got all-wheel drive, which is standard, but the xDrive system in this car does tend to have more of a rear bias. So let's see if I can get the tail to step out a little. Didn't think you could do that with a big 3-row SUV. This thing's back end will get a little squirmy, but hey, it's a little weird sitting so high, but she can handle it. This thing is a riot if you find a stretch of road and you want to get the back to dance for you. So for the longest time, BMW used to be falling behind in the luxury and the tech department, especially when you compared them to a lot of their German, American, Italian competition. But as you can see, BMW has completely changed all of that with the all-new 2020 X7. This is the most luxurious, the most expensive, the most opulent, the most spacious SUV they've offered. And I'm really pleased with the fact that BMW has thrown in most of their tech features onto this highest level tier SUV that they offer. Even when you look at something like the key. Now, Tesla, of course, was the one that started the digital key trend. BMW does the same thing here with this digital key fob, or you can also have the regular key fob here, their intelligent access key, and they also offer a display key that offers a remote function that I showed you in the first video. Basically, just like a Tesla, this thing will lock and unlock with this key fob. You don't even need to keep the key on you. And it has a feature where if I approach the vehicle here, it already unlocks the door for me because it senses the key. And then as I walk away from the vehicle, it will lock the door as well. So that's, again, really handy features that, you know, a lot of you don't even realize you wanted to have until you actually get this vehicle for a week to drive. Now, with all that said, the X7 definitely isn't perfect. There are a couple of, you know, things that I wish it did. I wish it drove a little bit sportier. This is definitely not the ultimate driving SUV. While it does drive very nice, if you're looking for the sportiest driving SUV, you're going to be looking at the Porsche Cayenne. You're going to be looking at the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. But again, those are much smaller vehicles. And when you compare this thing to all the other large luxury SUVs, I would definitely say this is one of the sportier driving vehicles, but my expectations for this big SUV segment are definitely low when it comes to driving dynamics. Where this car really excels is in the opulence department. Now, earlier I asked, is this the most opulent luxury SUV you can buy? Well, no, it's not. You could get something like the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, you can get the Bentley Bentayga, but those vehicles are roughly 3 times the price of the X7, which does, you know, play into favor when you look at the value quotient, because BMW offers a lot for the money here. This is not much more expensive than something like the Cadillac Escalade, the Lincoln Navigator, and I would argue that as good as the Navigator is, I actually really prefer this new X7 to the new Lincoln Navigator. Now, with all that said, it's time to give the 2020 BMW X7 an RPM rating. Now, starting with the R for real world usage, obviously this is a big family 3-row luxury SUV with plenty of space. I'm gonna give this thing easily a 9 out of 10 points for real world uses. Moving on to the E for efficiency. This thing is definitely a thirsty vehicle for what it is, but for what it is, it's also relatively efficient. I was getting around 17 miles to the gallon in mostly city driving with this big twin turbo V8. If you take this out on the highway, which I did, I got around 23 miles per gallon. So I was able to beat the EPA rating. So I'm gonna give this thing a 5 out of 10 points for efficiency, because even though it is thirsty, it actually does get good gas mileage for what it is. Now, moving on to the D for desirability. The X7 may look like a conventional SUV from certain angles, but this thing has been hot. It's been flying off of dealer lots, and people really want this thing. It really compares favorably to cars like the Range Rover, to the G-Wagon, to the GLS SUV, to the Escalade. I'm gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10 points for desirability, because if you guys could afford it, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of you would probably drive this thing if you could afford it, because it is so opulent, it is so nice. This SUV will seriously coddle you and make you feel extremely safe, and it's just extremely spoiled while you're driving this thing. Now, moving on to the L for longevity. Now, that's something of controversy, of course, with BMWs. European cars in general aren't the most reliable vehicles, but let's be honest here. Most people who buy these things, they're going to lease it. They're going to get rid of it after the warranty goes out. And keep in mind, BMW offers free maintenance on this thing for 3 years. So you don't have to worry about anything for 3 years. And then you still have the 4-year 50,000 comprehensive and the 6-year 72,000 bumper to bumper. Really, you're only going to be out of luck when you decide to buy one of these things used after the warranty has expired. So I'm going to give this thing a 6 out of 10 points for longevity. Now, moving on to the I for innovation. The X7 definitely has a lot of premium, impressive features, from the laser headlights to the gesture controls, to the air suspension, you know, to the availability of the 22-inch wheels, to the really nice interior with that merino leather. I mean, I'm gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10 points for longevity, just because I think BMW could do a little bit more. If you look at the Mercedes-Benz GLS, the infotainment system, how it's a complete tablet screen, 2 12-inch displays that kind of merge together, I think BMW needs to go look into that. Mercedes also offers their augmented reality and stuff like that. So BMW could up the innovation factor a little bit, but I'm still gonna give this an 8 out of 10 points for innovation. Now, moving on to the N for need for speed. Obviously, this is a fast SUV. Even with the base engine, it's still a fast SUV. And I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10 points for need for speed, because considering this weighs 5,500 pounds, it'll get to 60 in around 5 seconds. This thing blew my mind every time I put my foot down. Then, of course, the last E for expense. This is an expensive SUV. It starts at around $75,000. The V8 stickers for around $94,000. Add about $4 grand more for the M50i, which is the highest performance tier, so just under 100 grand. My tester has a few options on it: the executive package, the off-road package, the upgraded audio system, the upgraded merino leather for $5,000. All in this one, stickers for around $108,000. And it is a lot of money, but keep in mind, an Escalade, a Navigator, a GLS, a Range Rover, they're all gonna be over $100,000. And the fact that this car offers the luxury, the technology, the premium opulence of something like the Bentley Bentayga or the Rolls-Royce Cullinan for about 1/3 the price, and that's where the stronger value comes into play for the X7. So I'm gonna give this thing a 6 out of 10 points for the value quotient, just because it offers a lot for the money. Even though it's 6 figures, you feel like you got a car that's easily worth double the money. Add it all up, you get around 52 out of 70 points. which would make the X7 one of the highest testing SUVs that I have currently on the RPM rating. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2020 BMW X7. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.